Wireless headphones are becoming more and more essential in this online world of ours, especially during quarantine. So in this video, we are going to talk about the newly released AirPods Max, whether or not it's a reasonable buy, and we are going to go over some of the secrets behind the technologies that the AirPods Max uses. Stay tuned. There are 3 features that make up a good wireless headphone and that we are going to use to judge the AirPods Max. They are number 1, comfort, number 2, response time, and number 3, computational audio ability. I know that this may be kind of like weird and stuff to you, but I'll go over what these mean later on in the video, and as for now, I'm going to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Angela and I love tech. In my videos, I'm going to share some of the secrets behind the technologies that we use every day. I'm also going to share some of my personal viewpoints on hot new gadgets. Let's dive right in. So, feature number 1 is comfort. The AirPods Max, I would say, is very comfortable, but mainly because of this. When we use a wireless headphone, we want it to fit very snugly to our head, so that if we turn around, like turn our head or move around or lie on the couch, the headphone will always be very comfortable and snugly fit. And Apple knows this, so instead of having one single headband, like every other wireless headphone has, Apple has made the Apple Watch's headband by using 2 thin pieces of stainless steel. And this is very nice because it's very moldable to your head. So the AirPods Max is very comfortable. There is one downside, however, and that is that stainless steel is very heavy. So the AirPods Max is pretty heavy. And that's not ideal if you always like to exercise using the AirPods Max, or if you like listening to music or relaxing. You can imagine that you don't want this heavy weight on your head. Apple has a solution to this problem. Apple introduces something called the canopy, which is this layer of knit mesh fabric, and basically this fabric takes the weight of the AirPods Max and it distributes it all across your head so that it creates this illusion of lightness. Next up, we are going to talk about feature 2, which is response time. The AirPods Max uses Bluetooth, and Bluetooth is basically a technology that helps devices save energy. We know that the lower the data speed, the less energy is used. So basically, Bluetooth takes the original sound and compresses it so that its bandwidth is lower, so that the devices can save energy. And this is a pretty good technology because even the small AirPods, the AirPods Pro, when using Bluetooth, can have up to 5 hours of playing time with this tiny battery. But there is one flaw, which is when wireless headphones use Bluetooth, there is a latency or delay. And this delay is usually not that long. In ideal circumstances, companies claim that Bluetooth delays are around 32 milliseconds, but actually they're about around 100 to 200 milliseconds of delay. And you may feel like this isn't like a very long delay, but there can be problems that come from this delay. For example, imagine that you're in an online meeting and someone asks you a question, but because you're using Bluetooth and there's a delay, you're always answering that question a teeny bit too late, and this will hamper the flow of the conversation. Or imagine that you're in an online class and someone else speaks, but because there's a delay, you don't know that that person spoke, and you also start to speak, so you two are talking over each other. There is a single solution to this problem, which is if you care about delay and you're using Bluetooth, I recommend that you plug in a cable. Plugging in a cable will ensure that there is no delay. I know that many people play video games, If you like playing competitive video games, such as PUBG or World of Tanks, you always want to find out where the enemies are by listening to the sounds that they make. Fast responses are critical, and a delay of a few hundred milliseconds may bring you many disadvantages. For example, imagine that your enemy shoots you from behind, but you hear the gunshot 500 milliseconds afterwards. When you realize that you have been shot and try to find out where your enemy is, you have already lost 500 milliseconds of time. Plugging in a cable will ensure that you have a greater probability of winning. Another secret trick to use to your advantage is to find out from what direction a sound is coming from. A good headphone will do that. If your enemy approaches you from behind, the sound will feel like it is emitting from behind your head. This is the advantage of premier hi-fi headphones, like the AirPods Max in today's mainstream video games with 5.1, 7.1, or Dolby Atmos sound signals. Actually, to replay the accurate sound redirection is not easy. Only the high-end headphones from Sony, Bose, and some professional companies can do that. They call it surround sound. I will tell you why it is so hard to realize in my other videos to introduce the computational audio. Apple's AirPods Pro only started to provide this feature in the year of 2020. AirPods Max also supports the surround sound, and which categories AirPods Max as a high-end headphone. Apple calls it surround sound spatial audio, for it adds another innovative function, head track. When we talk about video games or applications which support head tracking functions, it is not enough to find out the direction of the sounds only. We know that sound directions here is coming from the virtual sound source that is instinctively calculated by our brain. It is the absolute position between the virtual sound source and our ears. If we are using regular headphones, when we turn our head, the virtual sound source will shift with us in relation to our head instead of staying put. That is not ideal for augmented reality. For example, imagine that we hear a bird singing on a tree to our left. The sound is coming from our left. Then we turn right, and the sound is still coming from our upper left if we wear a regular headphone. This is not realistic because in the real world, whether we turn left or right, the bird is still at the exact same place. In the real world, after I turn right, the sound should be coming from my behind, not from my left. To make it an ideal augmented realistic application, the sound source should be modified when we turn our head. The good news is that Apple AirPods Pro and AirPods Max provides this feature to work with their iPhones and iPads. If you update your iPhone to iOS 14 or higher and play a media which supports 5.1, 7.1, or Dolby Atmos sound signals, you will experience the audio compensation that I described earlier. Apple calls this head tracking. If you cannot get the spatial audio or head tracking, try to make sure that your AirPods Max and your iPhone are updated to a proper version and that the media file supports the required sound standards. You may be wondering how Apple does this. Basically, they are taking advantage of the fact that sound reaches our left and our right ears within a very tiny time difference. By controlling sounding time, volume, and frequency from the left side and right side of the headphone, our brains are tricked to believe that the sound is from a specific direction. Apple's AirPods Pro and AirPods Max embed position sensors, gyroscope, and accelerometers to check your ear's real-time position and use H1 chipsets to calculate and compensate for the time, volume, and frequency in each ear when we move. This way, we feel as if the sound is virtually realistic. Apple gives a general name of this technology computational audio, though it's still in its earliest age. For example, the current solution cannot compensate for our body movement. I believe that this computational audio is promising. I will give you some information regarding computational audio and wireless data transmission in some following videos. This information will include some ideas from physics, telecommunicational ideas, and computer ideas. but don't be scared by the terms. I will make sure that I will explain these terms in a very clear way so that you can learn something fun and interesting. Because the AirPods Max is very durable, has fancy design, and has spatial audio, I believe that it is reasonable to buy one as long as you're not concerned with the weight and the price. However, Apple might upgrade its AirPods Max in the near future, maybe by making the spatial audio better, or maybe adding a wire or cable or making the Bluetooth better, and things like that. So it's basically up to you. It's your choice if you want to spend $550 on this model and have a new model come out very soon. Okay, that's it for today. If you found my video to be useful, please support me by liking and subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.